Hello, everyone. We have just 15 more seconds left. We will begin with the podcast in next 10 seconds. Awesome. Welcome to today's Thought Leadership series, where we will explore the evolving landscape of production data, the challenges of unreliable data, and how global leaders like Barrick Gold are unlocking business value through refreshed approach to master data management. I'm your host, Rohan Salvi, and today we have the privilege of speaking with Susan Morton. She is the Global Material Master Data Governance Lead at Barrick Gold, one of the world's largest gold mining companies. Over the past year, I have had an opportunity to work closely with Susan, and I can confidently say that she is an expert in materials data management and the business processes around it. Susan, thanks for taking time and look forward to the conversation today.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank
It's
you.
nice to see you again.
Mhm. Nice to see you as well. Now you have had quite an impressive career with Rio Tinto, Barrick Gold. So could you please share a bit about your professional journey with us?
Sure. I worked for Rio Tinto for 15 years and started out in a regional data management position, um, doing price file work actually. Um, and worked very closely with the sourcing teams. And over the years, that role grew to be a national role between US and Canada. And then eventually it grew to a global role where I worked with a global team and managed globally all the outline agreements and price files for Rio Tinto.
Mhm.
So we work very closely together with the material master team. We were all one team and vendor master team. And we outsourced all of our transactional to Infosys, a company in India. And I had probably a team of about 30 people there in India.
Yeah. And you mentioned that with this you did have an opportunity to actually be uh, in India meeting with the team as well, right?
Yeah,
During.
yeah, we went. Yeah, it's one of the it's one of the requirements to meet with your teams and bond with the teams, and I think we had a really successful team.
Mhm.
I'm still friends with all the team leaders there, so yeah, yeah, it was a great opportunity, and
Great.
yeah.
No, please, sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, so Rio Tinto had decided to reduce their hubs in North America, so they basically shut down our office in Salt Lake City, and then I came to join Barrick shortly after that. So I've been with Barrick for almost 7 years now, and started out as a business analyst for the supply chain group. So doing all the KPI reporting and all the measurements of how that team was doing. And shortly after I joined the company, they merged with Rand Gold, an African gold company, and then shortly after that, we merged with Newmont there in Elko, and that was a pretty exciting time. It was everything was changing from one month to the next, and that is when we merged with Newmont. That was the deciding factor um, to put all of the new companies all together into one environment, which was a S4HANA environment.
Okay.
So at that point, I joined the global team and began the journey of about 20 different mine sites data conversion. So
Okay. Okay.
that
So it's a lot of different teams that you have worked with. Just as your philosophy, what is your success mantra when working with multiple teams focusing on the overall data management?
Communication. You just have to continually communicate with your teams, and there's always new issues arising. And my philosophy is don't hold back any knowledge.
Okay.
Share your knowledge with everybody. Explain why the policies that we have
Mhm.
um, work, and how they affect other departments and other SAP objects downstream. If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you you really aren't learning anything, and you're just pushing your keyboard and doing data entry work. So I take a lot of pride in making sure my teams understand what they're doing, why they're doing.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, at Barrick as well, I think the scale is pretty high. You have a huge data pool that you have to manage. There are I'm sure there is a ton of new requests, new creations that are coming in on day-to-day basis. So, on a day-to-day basis, maybe can you share some guidance in terms of how master data ties into the overall organization's day-to-day activities?
Well, sure, it all starts with getting the materials into the system. And I have regional teams. So I have a regional team here in North America. I have another team in the Dominican Republic, one in Argentina, and then for our Africa region, we have an outsourced team that I work with, of about six different people. And so we meet regularly. I visit each of the teams, and yeah, we just do knowledge share between each other.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. So now, this is certainly a part where you're working closely with the team to get the right information, to have the right processes. But this all starts with the governance policies, right? So from the data governance perspective, uh, how do prioritize the information? How do segregate this across the different business users?
Well, how do I segregate it? I kind of have a hit list. Um, am constantly. I think probably one of the biggest issues is people understanding the global data versus the plant level data, and so that is usually the first point of where I determine we have an issue. And people really don't understand that when you change a description, you're changing it for all plants, for instance. And so that segregation of plant level data versus global data is pretty big on my list.
Oh, okay, okay. Now, with such a vast, operation, think I'm sure there are challenges that you and the Barrick team faces when it comes to data governance. And what is your approach? And again, I'm thinking from a day-to-day operation perspective to solve such challenges. Where I'm sure you receive requests that make no sense at all, and you try to put together. The team is trying to put together the right quality or the right formula in, so that it continues to work the way it is supposed to work on an ongoing basis. So how do you handle such challenging situations when you have limited
Well,
information?
it starts with the taxonomy, and I think you have to be pretty set in your way with your taxonomy. And anybody who's creating materials must understand the taxonomy and can do it forwards and backwards, and with their eyes closed, basically. And we don't allow anybody to put materials into the system anymore. Um, that that don't have that taxonomy knowledge.
Oh,
Um, that's the first step, is just making sure that everything starts from the taxonomy.
okay. Okay, so that I understand, that probably has a clear demarcation in terms of what are the different roles that you have set up within the organization, as well as the stewardship roles as well, which you have defined. Because it all starts with setting up the right roles. That is how I believe people would have the right permissions set up in the system, so that the access is controlled and you get the right data feed. So now, considering this, there is certainly I would say a question around stakeholder management. So, how do you, go about this particular challenge? Because when you say someone, inform someone that he cannot basically create a material, it's not easy because it's required for him from a regular maintenance or a day-to-day operation perspective, right?
Okay, so yeah, well, it does start, the request starts with the end user. And in our case, it's typically one of the maintenance planners that will submit the request. So, we aim to please, so we want to make sure that we give that stakeholder, the right information. But the fact is, we don't really own that data.
Mhm.
The manufacturers own the data, and we work very, very closely with our manufacturers to ensure that we are capturing their their attributes and all of the characteristics of their materials. And we have to do those those materials the justice. So sometimes the end user doesn't exactly get what they want because we're pretty strict in making sure that we supply
Mhm.
um, the material with the right attributes.
Mhm. Mhm. Awesome, awesome. Now, you have mentioned, 15 years at Rio and then 7 years at Barrick. So, that's a lot of, time handling different, I would say, different dimensions of the data, different types of master data objects, as well as the different challenges associated with it as well. So now, how have you seen the overall solutions landscape evolving over this, time frame?
Well, the tools, keep getting better, better and better. But you always need you always need somebody to um, who understands data and who's a cataloger. You still always will need a cataloger, even though a lot of the programming and defaults are pretty much set up in the tools, but you still need a cataloger at the end of the day to um, make sure that everything's in order, and then off it goes to the system.
Perfect,
But
perfect. And
the,
sorry, please.
chal- the sorry, just to answer your question on the challenges, both companies I work for, duplicates are a huge problem. It doesn't matter how strict you are with your governance, and there are always duplicates. And so I will say that that is probably our biggest data challenge.
Mm. Okay. I think you mentioned that you managed implementation of the transformation project with 20 separate assets, right? So as a part of this entire digital transformation journey, so if you could share a few learnings, what are the key objectives that you had started the journey with? What are the achievements? If you could share some of those, that would really be uh, a great insight for some of our listeners who might be looking to engage on such a journey. And again, thinking about SAP, so it's happening right now.
Yeah, we're actually just finishing probably our last conversion with the mine site in Papua New Guinea. And there's about 52,000 materials that we're um, transforming and merging from an Oracle system into SAP. And what are the challenges? Well, I will tell you duplicates again. Duplicates are always when to merge, when not to merge. That that seems to be an ongoing issue that I know I'm facing dealing with. Time is also a really important factor. In all the 20 prior conversions that we did, each one took 4 months, and I know that that's pretty unheard of in SAP data conversion work. At Rio Tinto, we took a whole year to cleanse the data, perform different stages of getting it into the new environment. And here we had 4 months, and you
Mhm.
can hardly do any cleansing. You know, you know. So it's really important when you're merging materials, you get the right information. But dirty data out usually means dirty data back in, and especially when you don't have the time to do the cleansing. This time with this last project we're working on, we did have the luxury of um, working with a company such as yourself
Mhm.
to do the cleansing and give it back to us in a transformed, very nice shape. So yeah, time would always be
Okay.
on on your side if you have it.
Mm. And I think the time is primarily required for running the necessary validations rather than just the cleansing to make sure that after the results are achieved, you have enough time to validate and reap the benefits from the process, because that essentially ensures that there is a user acceptance. There is basically at the time of go live there are minimal firefights happening.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
that's very true. And yes, and again, time would be on your side to be able to have that luxury to do that. And in this case, again, we have been able to do that. And I want to say we've had very few issues with the materials data,
Okay.
which has
Good to
been
hear.
very rewarding,
Yeah.
to say the least. We have other issues, but not necessarily with the materials.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Now, I think one of the again, this is always it's like a working engine where you are trying to replace the parts. It's the production is never stopping. It's always running, and you want to make sure that you get the right data into the system without impacting any of the production processes. So, as a part of such transformation, what has been a major learning, to ensure that the business continues to operate without any impact while providing the accurate, reliable data, which certainly is changing through transformation.
Well, it is important to get the right part with the right price, with the right lead time,
Mhm.
with all the right information to get it to the vendor, um, so that they know what it is you're asking for. If you don't have good, clean data and they don't know what you're asking for, that causes delays. And
Mhm.
in our ever changing world, we have on our critical parts we have a saying that we say it's a gold stopper.
Mhm.
And if one material stops production, it's this is a major problem, and it can go all the way up to the top to
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
you didn't have the right size in one of your attributes, and you got the wrong part, and the wrong part came in, and it stopped production. Yeah, that's never good. that
And,
that
and
that that is never a good thing.
and to this particular story, I do want to add something because when you establish an asset, right? It's a new asset. You have the right information coming from the vendor or the distributor, where you have the equipment, you have the list of parts that need to go into the maintenance of that asset. Certainly it's a painful task, it's a cumbersome task to get the entire asset set up in the system, have all the parts associated, the sub assemblies associated, build that whole functional location, and the bill of material hierarchy, getting that information right. But the daunting task which follows is basically as the asset undergoes the life cycle, where parts get replaced, outdated, updated. OEMs often just change the part numbers, and now you need to have a process where these updated parts which are going to be required for maintenance reflect into the asset management system. Think this is one open area which certainly there is a huge potential today to tap in with the AI. Another aspect that we see is where the parts criticality or equipment criticality is missing or is not accurate. So this plays a vital role into the overall inventory as well as maintenance planning, because if you don't have the right levels of inventory, then no matter how much in advance you plan, at the time of maintenance, if you don't have the right part, the maintenance is going to stall. So
Yeah.
this is another aspect. How do you think AI could help in this particular piece of challenge today?
Well, it's a great opportunity to standardize not only your material cataloging, but also your maintenance bombs and task lists, and their master data is just as important to them as the inventory master data is
Mhm.
to the inventory teams, and you have to work together with maintenance to ensure you get the whole complete picture of the material. And AI would be outstanding to combine both activities. It would be great. I think it's a wonderful opportunity because you're right. It is something that is really missing. Um, and I think it's just a great opportunity, and I can't wait to see what AI is gonna do in that space.
Mhm. Awesome, awesome. Glad to see you excited about this, use case and challenge. I think it's something that with the recent explosion on the AI has become very much feasible now.
Definitely, definitely.
Perfect. So now, as I see, from any such data transformation process, the strategy always starts from the top, right? So, what are the leadership traits that you have seen to be essential for managing such digital transformation initiatives?
Well, I've had the wonderful pleasure of working with all the managers that I have had over the years who have been incredibly knowledgeable. And even today at Barrick, we have kind of an elite team in our global group, and it has to come from the top that data is important. It has to be just built into everyone's philosophy that you have to work at having good data and clean data. And I think that once that is established, all of the management downstream will buy into it. But it has to come. You're right. It has to come from the top.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. I see we have about 5-6 minutes left to the clock. So this has certainly been extremely insightful, Susan. Thanks for that. I do want to, ask you to give some of your final notes. What are the key takeaways that you would give to this, group that we have as audience today, so that they can set up, the right data strategy and move towards a technology first approach in the meaningful way.
Well, in your data conversion work, you make sure your maintenance teams are going to sign off on your data. You know,
Mhm.
they're the ones who use it, who do the initial ordering, and if they haven't signed off on it, um, it's it's probably going to come back to bite you later. I know it has for me on some projects.
Mhm.
Um, and I work very closely with the maintenance group all through this last data conversion, and it is really really helpful.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. Thanks for sharing your expert views with us today. Data. Sorry, please go ahead.
Oh, I just said you're welcome.
Right. Yeah, we recognize, data certainly plays a key transformative role when it comes to production management, especially in asset intensive industries like mining. We are excited about our partnership and see we want to see how this evolves, and we're looking towards driving innovation that meets business value. I want to thank all our listeners today for tuning in. Stay tuned for more such discussions in future. Production management, data strategy continues to remain our area of focus. Again, thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye now.